Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is quite the rainy day here today. Nothing severe so far. We've had a lot of lightning. A band of lightning, a storm cell actually kind of went over our place a little while earlier, and you could even look on the radar. It was just this trail of insane amount of lightning, but everything's okay on our end. Nothing got hit, no damage, but there has been off and on periods of very heavy rain, a lot of flash flooding around in the area. So for those of you that it's coming to, because it starts here and it's working its way east, kind of northeast, you folks need to get ready, because it's bringing an immense amount of moisture with it. Some of these periods of rain showers, it's just like a monsoon coming down. So anyways, be ready for that. So obviously everybody knows what's going on with the tariffs, the markets, the threats of war and all this kind of stuff. And some people are still thinking it's a great deal, and maybe it is. Maybe in the long run it'll turn itself around and it'll be the best thing that's ever happened to this country. Maybe. I mean, that's a possibility. But at this point right now, it's doing a lot of damage. And the thing you have to realize is that there's a lot of people's retirements. I mean, some of you that are old enough to remember past crashes and stuff in the system, what if someone is getting ready to retire soon, and all their retirement's wrapped up in the stock market, and they just lost huge amounts of their retirement wealth? I mean, those are things we have to realize. Trump said today that the weak will not survive this, only the strong will survive. And I mean, that could be taken a lot of ways. There's been about $3.25 trillion lost in the markets just today. About $7 trillion lost since Wednesday, and about $11 trillion lost since Trump took office. So a significant amount of losses. And of course, the wealthy, you could say, well, they're losing stuff. They're making money. They will make money one way or the other. And so we have to realize that. These tariffs that are happening, there are some smaller countries that's kind of backing down and trying to negotiate some kind of end to it. But there's still, European Union, China, several other countries they're sticking to their guns, and they're going to raise theirs. And all of the outlooks right now, unless things turn around in the coming weeks, which they could, because it's been back and forth all over the place for the last few months, but unless that doesn't happen, we're looking at probably some dramatic price increases on stuff, inflation, a slowdown in the economy, a recession, depression. And so looking at it from just strictly preparedness glasses, what do we need to be doing? What should you be doing? I should be doing, aside from just the general get your house in order thing? Well, that's a big question. Most of you, I'm going to assume, are probably not extremely wealthy people, right? Your average, middle income, maybe if you're lucky. But it might be a good time to start stocking up on things, because these tariffs take effect. Well, most of them have already taken effect, and even though it may not immediately cause prices to rise on the shelf today, mostly because those things have already been imported in or whatever, it will eventually cause things to go up. And so you need to be preparing for that. First thing that I say all the time is you need to become self-sufficient. You need to learn to do for yourself. And yes, I mention food production all the time, because that's the big thing. That's how they control you. When you're hungry, if you're starving, and your family is starving, your little babies, they're crying because they're not going to get enough food to eat, you'll get to where you're willing to do about anything. And they know that. And that's why they want to control food. So take that power out of their hands by producing your own food. Just do it. It's labor intensive, but it's not as difficult as you think if you're not producing your own food. So you need to be doing that. But aside from that, you also need to just be generally becoming as self-sufficient as possible. Learn to do things on your own. This used to be common. My generation, the generations before, we would fix our own things. I do as much of my own mechanic work on my vehicles as possible. It's actually been years since I've had to take a vehicle to a mechanic. I'll do it myself. May take me longer. I may get more frustrated and bust some knuckles. And usually I save money, but it's mostly because I just want to do it for myself. Learn to take care of your own stuff. Learn to fix your car. Learn to fix your appliances. Learn to build things. Go out to the, thrift store or the secondhand store or the Goodwill or whatever, and start looking for do-it-yourself books. They used to be popular back in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. So there's usually a lot of those types of things. Home carpentry, home appliance repair, home vehicle repair. Books are excellent, and you should have them. Everyone should have a robust prepper library because with AI and the internet, a lot of things are changing. I mean, it's like book burnings, but it's all digital. Books are changing. They're hard to find sometimes, find the correct information. So make sure you have books that you can learn and figure out how to do things on your own, because it's going to become too expensive. Think of TVs, and I know you're going to say they don't make TVs where you can repair them anymore. That's true. Maybe you just shouldn't have one. But let's use it as an example. When these tariffs start kicking in, TVs are going to get quite expensive. They've been cheap. Just talking to someone the other day, how crazy it is that you can go and buy a 5-6 foot screen TV for $200, $300, $400 sometimes if they're on sale. When I was a kid, a TV that big would cost thousands of dollars. Even just a decade or two ago, it was thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands. I remember seeing price tags $5,000 and $10,000 for a TV that size. And now you can get one for less than $500 a lot of times. That's going to change. We have built our economy and our society on cheap goods. That's not necessarily a good thing, but we have. And it's going to be a shock to people. It's going to be a shock to you, to everyone else. And I don't care how much you say you're ready for it or you're willing to buy American. It's going to be a shock. So you need to learn to take care of yourself. Fix your own stuff, build your own stuff, save some money. You should also be stocking up on parts for things. Right now, across the board, just about every mechanical part for everything there is made overseas. There's very few auto mechanics, appliances, anything like that, a part that is made in the United States. Batteries, electronic parts, anything. Radio communications, all that kind of stuff. So I would start looking at the things that you have, your car, your equipment, tools, and things that you think you might need to do some repairs on in the coming future, at least over the next few years. And if you can afford it, try to buy some extra parts for it. An extra alternator, an extra wheel bearing, extra set of brake pads, spark plugs, things like that. Because it's going to get expensive, maybe hard to find, especially if the tariff war turns into a real war. And so right now, the best thing that we can all be doing is to be preparing in that way. Stocking up on things, becoming as self-sufficient as possible, learning to do for your own. Don't wait for someone else to do it. It irritates me so much. People just can't seem to do anything on their own nowadays. They have to hire everything to be done. And that's because of the society that we've built, that we have the money to do that. That's all going to change. That is all going to change. We are entering a new era. Over the next few years, there's going to be some dramatic changes. And you need to be ready for that. You may think that you're ready because, we want to do America first, but it's going to be a financial burden on a lot of people. There's going to be some hardships, and you need to prepare and brace yourself for that. Even if it doesn't directly affect you, it will affect other people around you, and then that can trickle down and affect you. So be ready for this stuff. Maybe it'll end up being good, but just like the president has said, it's going to be a rough spot for a while. So get your houses in order, folks, and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.